Hey everyone. So today I wrote a post about the modern church and the police state, and I want to talk to you just a little bit more about that. I want to talk about when the church must draw the line. You see, there comes a moment in every generation when the church has to decide what it fears more. They have to decide if they're going to fear the opinions of men or the drift of a culture. Most spiritual leaders today avoid these kinds of conversations because they're afraid of labels. They don't want to be called political or extremists or divisive. But the Word of God has never asked us to stay silent while the world drifts into darkness. You got to look at the pattern. Moses, he confronted the most powerful government on earth in his time. Elijah confronted the state-sanctioned prophets of Baal. Jeremiah was accused of being unpatriotic because he warned of the judgment to come. Daniel refused that civil obedience when it violated his spiritual obedience. John the Baptist, he rebuked corruption at the highest level, and the apostles said plainly, we must obey God rather than men. None of them cared about labels. They cared about the truth. They cared about faithfulness. They cared about obedience to God. They cared about allegiance to the Lord above every earthly power. And here's the reality that most people are not prepared for. Tyranny doesn't arrive just in one day. You don't just wake up and suddenly you're in a tyrannical society with a tyrannical government. It arrives slowly. It's wrapped in language like safety and security and unity and compliance and public good. It rises through everyday people and everyday systems, everyday offices. And if the church is asleep during all of this, it's going to just comply without even realizing what it's bowing to. And that's why discernment matters, probably now more than ever as we come to the end times. There's always been a moment where the people of God have to draw a line in the sand, and we see it. Joshua, he said, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Daniel said, I will not bow. Peter and John said, we cannot stop speaking about what we've seen and heard. And we read in Revelation, it says, they love their lives, they love not their lives even unto death. And that line, it's not drawn in a heart of rebellion. It's drawn in allegiance to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. It's allegiance to Christ above all else. And I think, when we look around at the society that we're living in America and in Western civilization, we're entering a season where obedience to the King, the heavenly King, is going to cost us more. Where discernment in the spiritual realms is going to matter more. We're entering a season where silence can be interpreted as approval, and we have to be careful about that. Blind submission is going to become a trap. Not because the church is supposed to be anti-government. I'm not anti-government. And it's not because we're extremists. I'm definitely not an extremist. It's because faithfulness to the cross, to the Word of God, and to biblical standards has always required a holy refusal when the surrounding systems of the world begin to drift into sin and darkness and compromise. And we have to have leaders that are going to speak up, because leaders who won't speak now, they're not going to have any credibility when the pressure increases later. So hear me when I say this. This is not about fear. This is about coming into formation with the kingdom principles, the kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. It's about raising believers who are anchored in the Word, who are awakened in their spirit and willing to obey God, even when earthly pressure rises. Because the days that are coming ahead, the remnant will not be the loudest. The remnant is going to be the ones who refuse to bow. And so I just want to encourage everybody, if you've read my post, This is just a follow-up to that. If you haven't read my post, please go on over to my profile today and take a look at the post about the coming police state, because it's something that we all need to be aware of. And be sure and check that pinned comment and subscribe for more. Thanks.